If you don't know what's coming next for you, this video is for you. I'm learning also that it is possible for us to change our life fully, completely, to whatever we want. And it takes self-trust. But self-trust is a practice. You build self-trust. You don't just have it for no reason. So whatever you're going through right now, whatever position you are in right now, if you can imagine your dream life, if you can imagine accomplishing things that you want to accomplish, or becoming the person you want to become, that's all you need to do. You just need to imagine it and focus on it. If you can feel within imagination that you have it already, and you marinate your consciousness in that place, it has to happen. It has to come true. This is conscious manifestation. And this is how we create reality all the time anyway. I know that personally for me, I realized that it takes courage to believe in yourself. It takes courage to believe that certain things are possible for you, and most people never even aim that high. If you failed in something, that's such a huge honor, because at least you tried. It means you tried. Congratulations on your failure, because most people never even try. And I know that for me at one point personally, I didn't think certain things were possible. And the more that I accomplished small things, I began to realize that nothing is off limits for me. We can literally do anything. We can literally create any reality we want. And this is so cool, because it puts magic back into your life. It puts anticipation back into your life. This is not hope. It's not hope. It's knowing that it is possible to be excited again. It's knowing that you actually can start over anytime you want. You can start a brand new life at any moment. And even if you've created an identity for yourself, even if you've created a personal brand, even if you've created one specific way of being, you can create something else. You don't have to decreate that first identity. You can expand it and add on to it. Personally, I have so many interests, and I have so many passions and things I love to do. How could I just be one thing? It's not possible. And I actually tried for a long time, to just be one thing. I tried to fit myself into a mold, into, a niche, into one way of being, and it left me so unhappy, and it left me feeling so stuck. And I would look at people doing things that I wanted to do, which is an infinite number of things, really. There are no limits to the things I want to do and the things I want to create. So I would look at people doing things that I wanted to do, and I felt so stuck in my own mind and in my circumstances. This is a part of my personal story. My personal story is that I went through a lot of feeling stuck. I went through a lot of feeling really just held by my circumstances. People don't know what anyone else has been through. There was a point of time in my life where I had absolutely everything taken from me. And this happened many times, actually. Not just once, but many, many times in my life. Actually, while we speak, I'm trying to complete a project and my computer is spazzing out, sorry. I'm doing like 12 things at the same time, because that's like the only thing that works for me. And so I've also had yet to find one person that does what I want to do, like all of it. I have never ever found anybody yet who I can model my life off of. I've just found like really, really good, like really skilled people for like different things, but I want to be good at like everything. And I also, a big part of my personal story is that I also grew up completely in lack mentality, and I had to like restructure my mind into believing that certain things were possible for me by literally watching successful people and seeing how they did it and like analyzing their energy. And that's when I realized that you cannot share your consciousness with any other person. And a lot of people do. They share their consciousness with their best friend or their spouse or their parents or their children. And if you want to be a whole person, if you want full total self-mastery, if you want to be good at certain things and accomplish certain things in specific fields, just purely for the joy of it, and if you want this life to be yours, you have to have your consciousness kept to yourself. You have to learn how to merge your consciousness, not with a person, but with the divine. And this requires solitude. A lot of my life was spent in solitude. During the times that I was going through a lot of difficulty, it was because I was sharing a consciousness with people that had lack mentality or with people that were not healed. That's when I learned that we need to reclaim our consciousness for ourselves. And that's when I learned that nobody is you, nobody knows you, nobody knows you. Nobody knows you. Not even your parents, especially not your parents, I would say. Because your parents would even try to create a false narrative or identity and place you in it. Don't fall into that trap. In a way, our parents are actually our children. And we are our grandparents, by the way. Because it skips, if you know the law of genetic harmonics, like things kind of skip a generation. But we're here to live out our highest ideals and dreams. And this is a fact. So when you feel unhappy or when you feel depressed, it's probably because you are thinking the way society wants you to think, or you're thinking the way people around you want you to think, or you are not knowing who you are, which is fine, which is good. If you can like realize like, hey, I have literally no idea who I am, that's an important discovery. A lot of people don't discover that, so they never get to like do the work that comes after that, which is, okay, who am I? And then you go on that quest, and then in that quest you find God, right? Because you go within. A lot of people never go within, and they just keep judging other people, or they just keep looking at the world to define them, which is like a fragmented life. You're living a fragmented life, you know? And I really want to share my personal story. I really want to like say the things that I've been through. And it's like so, I think it'll take my entire life to like talk about the things that I went through. But in a nutshell, like I've experienced like almost enough pain to like get it. And I've really experienced like the depth of pain of the human condition. Like, if someone were to never avoid their pain, that's what I've experienced, you know? And in a way, it's like actually so much of a blessing, because then you can heal it, you know, you can heal your pain. And you can even heal past life pain. And for me personally, my story is one of great, like, difficulty. And I really want to, like, talk about it. Basically, I don't know how I'm gonna, like, talk about it, really. But, you know, you find yourself through your pain. You face it, you face your pain. And on the way to finding yourself, you find God, and you realize that the two are non-different. They're non-different. God is literally within you. And, yeah, you know, I think really you have to break. And, like, that's how you realize who you are. Like, you get cracked open, you know. And yeah, there were so many times in which I lost everything. And I realized that I was the most free when I, like, had nothing. Because I only had God, and then I had everything, you know. And, yeah, I mean, you name it, like, everything was gone, at certain points. And then you kind of, like, are forced to learn the lessons that are being presented to you. And then you follow what God is telling you. And He leads you to your treasure, which is within. And then you take action in the physical, or He'll make your physical reality easier the more that you pray, by the way. Like, prayer is, like, the goal of this life, you know. Being with God, 12:12 on my timer, is the goal of human life. And liberation, freedom from the cycle of birth and death, is the goal of this human life. And so, like, I want that for myself. I want that for people in my orbit. And that's, like, it's like the ultimate goal, you know, of life. And let me tell you, like, you can lose everything and you can get everything back, and it is God who will restore everything to you, who is within you. And I just wish I could tell my story. I know I keep repeating that, but truly my story is so insane. It's, like, supernatural on levels. And basically, I also spent a long time in my recent past few years, like, uncovering, like, me and diving into myself. And, like, I really wanted to find out, like, who am I? Because the more that I found out, the more, like, it's so chilling even to, like, talk about, because the more that I found out, the more that I realized, the more that I was in shock, really. And I don't think that this is just, like, specific to me. I think that when every person goes within to find out who they are, they find so much power and love and, like, truth and creative ability. It's wild, because that's God's energy, you know. And yeah, essentially just a little bit of my personal story is that I came into this life and I was instantly, like, from a child, very much so monitored and, like, handled. And my frequency was, like, really not allowed to be my own. My consciousness was, like, not allowed to be my own. And this is just energetically speaking. Of course, I, like, was born into amazing circumstances, because I had the fortune of receiving God consciousness and like the information around God consciousness really early on in my life. Like as a child, I would spend half of my life in temples, and I would like sleep there, like stuff like that. That's a little bit of my like childhood. And so I'd be sitting there in these like lectures for hours on end, and I'd be like the only kid there, and they would be discussing reincarnation, you know, birth and death, all this stuff. And I was like 2, I was like 3. This continued on until I was in middle school, I want to say, yeah. And anyway, I just never found safety or reprieve in people. Like, my energy, my frequency would only be lowered by people. And when I was like studying or listening, or I was a super quiet kid, like really observant. So when I would be studying or learning or alone, that's when I would feel good, you know, and my frequency would shoot up, you know. I'd be very happy. I'm a very happy person, and so this world is not like that, you know. And so I suffered a lot at the hands of other people for a very long time, and I went through a lot of like energetic and other types of like abuse, and that actually left me in like victim consciousness for a while, as a teenager. And I basically, like, everything that I learned as a kid, I just kind of willingly forgot about it, and I like basically adapted to my circumstances, and like would try so hard to fit in with my peers. Like, my friends were my escape, and so I became like someone who was really like, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of pain, I was really I knew too much, and you know, nobody knew really like what like I was going through or what I had been through or anything, but like friends and partying were my escape. And I went from a kid who was meditating at age 8 to someone who was deeply hurt, and just I was so tired of life, you know. Super like inwardly gothic person, like really dark, like really, you know, hard-hearted like person as a teenager, kind of. And so then I had a spiritual awakening at like around 18, and yeah, then I found God, and my whole life changed, because obviously you can't continue, like, I was so purposeless, and I would willingly put my life in danger, and I was very trigger warning. I was very, 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 very suicidal, because of all the things I had been through. And again, nobody knew. Like, I literally was living not just a double life, but like even a triple life, quadruple life, for a very long time, just to survive, and just to it was normal for me. And yeah, I went through it all. Depression, dissociation was there, so much so that I literally had no identity. I would just switch, you know. And when I went through my spiritual awakening, I realized that that's what kind of catalyzed my spiritual awakening, was that I was so gone that I realized, this was as a teenager, right? I realized that, oh my god, I have no idea who I am. Like, I felt like a shell of a person. And then that is what, actually somebody told me, you know, you need to seek God, you need to find God, because they could tell that I was struggling. And then I began to actively look for God. I began to read books. I began to read the Gita, I read the Bible, I started to meditate, and the rest is history. I remember locking my phone in my closet for like a few weeks, I think it was, because I wasn't down to be distracted. And then I started my meditative practice, and I would just meditate on a very specific piece that's still on YouTube. It's called Crown Chakra Meditation by Meditative Mind. It's just the generic one. And I started with the crown chakra, which you're not supposed to do. And it opened for me. It opened. My crown chakra literally opened, and I was like, that was very intense and just really difficult as well to navigate, because I had no idea what I was doing. Spirituality was not that common at the time. Like, it was not a mainstream topic. It was not trending, you know. And I just remember being able to like pray really well and connect and receive information. And then later on, my body ended up really, really suffering, because I was in, like, you know how they say you can't heal in the same place you were sick? 21 on my timer. So around 2020, which is when the shutdown happened, I had to be around the people that hurt me a lot as a kid, and just my entire life, really. Actually, it never stopped. And the frequency was so different. Like, I had changed so much as a person, and they had not, that it hurt me to be around them, and it hurt my heart over and over and over again. Like, I was reliving the same trauma that was so painful over and over and over and over again. And so my body broke, like, physically, because I was under so much stress and anxiety, and like I would have panic attacks, and my heart was broken, and then so yeah, I went through some health stuff. That's around the time I had to get braces, and which are in some of my videos, my older videos, I think. And yeah, it's not been an easy ride. My identity was like severely messed with for the majority of my life, and so I had to reclaim that, you know. And it's really only God who can restore you like fully on a soul level. And so I found my identity again, my renewed self, or my new self rather. I was like literally reborn within God. And this was not just once, but a few times, because it had to happen a few times, because like I needed to be saved a few times, you know. And you know, the people that hurt others are not happy, and I realized that. And you know, there was never a point of time where I blamed anybody. Because actually around the time of my spiritual awakening, my first one, when I was 18, what happened was I was doing a meditation, and I ended up doing like a past life regression meditation, or it was even like a childhood regression meditation. And I could physically see why certain things had to happen to me, why all that pain that happened. And then that's when my connection with the divine like turned on, you know. And so I never ever held anything against anybody. And I really learned how to navigate the inner world really well. Like I learned energy work too really well. I spent the majority of my life studying energy work and studying the things that I talk about in my videos. So when people ask me like, how do you know that, or you know, all that stuff, I got a comment once of someone saying like, oh, you must have been through so much hardship for you to know all this information. And I just saw that comment and felt so honored and seen and grateful, because yeah, it was a lot. You know, obviously you cannot tell someone's life from social media. People have no idea, like, anyone else. People have no idea who anyone else is, you know, or what they've been through or learned. But I've lived multiple lives within one life. And I've been multiple different people, and navigating that also was quite difficult, but that's been my journey. And so that's a little bit of my personal story, not the full thing, obviously, but the point, again, and the purpose of human life is to find God and to free oneself, to literally free one's soul from the cycle of birth and death. So you never have to take birth again upon this prison planet. Earth is a prison planet, but it's also a plane for opportunity, because you can experience both heaven and hell here, and it's all dependent on your consciousness, and I've experienced both. And I don't think you can experience heaven without experiencing hell, because you will not know or be able to recognize what heaven is. You know, and heaven is truly when you merge your consciousness with the divines, and you stay there. That's why I encourage meditation. 26 on my timer. I encourage daily meditation for this reason. So that's a little bit of my personal story. I want you to know that anything is possible. I'm learning that as well, and I'm seeing how that's true. And I want to continue evolving as a soul. I want to continue doing my work, however that shifts and changes as I shift and change. And I want to be a source of healing energy for myself and for the world. I really like seeing how we can be that, and it's really honestly through inner cultivation of healing energy, which is via union with the divine. And yeah, I still have like so much to say, but for now I just want you to know that I love you, you are loved, and anything you want to accomplish or achieve, it's up to you. You know, that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my life, is that it's up to you. If you want to stay a victim, you can. If you want to heal, you can. If you want to change your life, you can. And it's through changing your vibration. It's through up-leveling your consciousness, changing your consciousness. If you want to become a new person, you can. You know, and it's all up to you. And it's up to how much you decide to practice a new vibration, or practice a new frequency, or practice staying with God. You know, that's like the biggest blessing we can give ourselves. And actually, you know, like, the thing is that if you go through hardship early on in your life, it's actually such a huge blessing, because you can learn quicker. You get to learn faster. You get to heal faster. You get to move and work through trauma faster. And you get to mature faster, especially spiritually. You get to attain spiritual maturity faster. And so in this way, you can spend the rest of your life really devoting your energy to a specific caliber of frequency, and like doing your work in that way. You know, personally, everything that I went through made me realize that I'm devoting my life to the world. I'm devoting my life to myself first and foremost, by acting on my highest of passions at all moments in time, even as they shift and change, even though I have so many. And also, in the process, you know, working for the world, because when you do self-mastery constantly, and when you attain true self-mastery, which has to be upheld, by the way, it's not just like a degree, it's not like a one and done thing, you have to stay there in that frequency. So it's a daily practice, right? So when you kind of get to that level, you can teach about what you know, and you can honestly move through the world with that healing energy, you know. And personally, I'm so grateful that I almost had no choice but to go within and heal and transform. The pain was so bad, that it was either, I remember, I said it out loud in my room, in my childhood bedroom. I remember saying, like, show me the purpose of my life or take it away. Just take it away, And when you're that adamant, when you really want to know who God is and who you are, you will devote your life to it. You will not stop until you find answers. And that was what happened with me. I did not stop until I found answers, and my life changed after that. It's a sudden decision. I think, pain really is a catalyst. It's a catalyst for healing. It's a tool. It's very important to, study it, to let it teach you. You become very humble as well in the process. And I've learned how we all possess, like angelic frequency, and we all have the ability to co-create with the divine and create heaven on earth. But first we have to heal ourselves, which is why I think going through trauma and hardship really early on in your life is a blessing, because then you're not, an adult with all these unresolved issues, and it gets a lot harder to like do that inner work as you get older because you're more stuck in your ways, And so I think that, learning that we are our own saviors and that the God who sits within is, our only hope, that's like the biggest blessing in the world. God consciousness is the biggest blessing in the world. So so thank you for listening to this video and parts of my story. I love you very much. Anything is possible for you. Literally. Just know that, get specific on the frequency you want to anchor in and focus only on that. And know that you are constantly manifesting anyway, so you can manifest utmost healing for yourself. And I'm going to have some resources around this video in the description of texts and books and things that I found really helpful on my healing journey that you can access as well. I love you so, so much. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.